Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Strange Developer here. In this video I'm going to talk about primarily what to expect when you become a developer. I know in my previous videos I have spoken about a couple of things such as how dev life looks like in 2023. However, in this video my focus will be primarily focused on um, to help you decide whether this is something you would like to do. Maybe you are a student, you are still a junior in college, and you still haven't decided yet what you would like to do, or maybe um, you are just a person who considers changing careers and you're not sure if this is something you would like to do or not. So this video should help you to answer this question. So, without further ado, I'll speak about a couple of things. Starting with number one, um, how the workplace looks like. In 2023, a lot of people are currently working remotely. Some people are going to the office from time to time, and by people I mean developers in specific. In the IT department or the IT industry in general. So nowadays it's really like you see that developers go to the office or to the job only like a couple of times or once, or depending on whether or not they have a need to do so. And um, you would be having much less exposure or social interaction with humans physically, and your communication will be more around, just making some video calls, whether it's on some platform like Zoom or Microsoft or Skype or whatever. Most of your meetings will be digital. You're not going to have a lot of social interaction with people in real time or physically. So this is something you should perhaps keep in mind. There are people or developers who prefer to go to office because um, they like to see real people. They like to say hi to others. They like the vibe and feeling of being in an office, especially if, for example, for some reason you have more comfort working in the office than at home. If you don't have perhaps the capacity or capability to work from home, or um, if maybe your internet doesn't work very well, or no matter or whatever reason, some developers prefer to go to office daily or on a regular basis. So this is about the workplace in general. Most developers do not have a lot of social interaction or physical interaction. It's mostly just like chatting or uh, emails, etc. Next point I would like to talk about is um, what do you expect? What are you really going to be doing most of the time when you are working as a developer? The truth is, a lot of people might think that you are this geeky tech guy with the hoodie on. Actually, I have my own hoodie here. So people think that you are this guy with this hoodie, just typing on stuff with multiple screens, and actually I do have multiple screens. um, but in reality, this is not the case. This is not really going to be the case. Most likely, you'll be spending some time doing some managerial stuff, or things that are more like administrative. And I would say it really depends on the job. So you could expect doing things that are not really related to tech or coding, maybe 30 to 40% of the times, and at some certain seasons or period of time, it's even only 50% of the time. So perhaps maybe the question you would ask, what are you actually doing during, like what kind of administrative tasks you would be doing instead of coding? So aside from coding or developing software, you'll be doing things such as maybe you are reviewing code written by someone else and giving some comments, feedback, approving uh, pull requests, and so on. Or you could be, for example, spending some time and energy gathering the requirements. So basically, writing code in the software development cycle is actually the last step. And the reason why this is the last step, because this is called the implementation. And whether or not, so basically, you need first to have a purpose or reason to implement some piece of software or to write some code. So basically, at work, we don't just write code for the sake of coding. We need to first find something that is valuable, study it, make an estimation, and then based on that, we either move forward or we shift to something else depending on the priorities. And this is a way in which how companies avoid overhead or avoiding overworking on things that or spending time and money on things that are actually not very important. And here I'm talking about, like, when I say spending time and money, I mean it's like wasting weeks or months on something that maybe the business doesn't see as valuable. This doesn't include making, for example, if you're making some sort of small piece of like a proof of concept or a presentation and such for a couple of hours or a day, it doesn't. This doesn't count. It doesn't really count as wasting time or resources from company's perspective. But anyways, going back to our topic, yes, basically you will spend some time gathering the requirements, figuring out what technology to use. Um, do you have enough developers in the company with the same set of skills to maintain this solution that you would like to implement? This is if it is a new thing. And also things such as documentation. So basically, depending on how complicated the thing you are working on is, you need to have some documentation. And documentation is very crucial because it will help everyone in the future who will come after you, in case you are no longer working in the company or in case you have shifted to something completely different. You need to make sure that you're enabling and empowering your colleagues or anyone to come later and make changes or to support or fix any problems that you may have missed, or some corner cases. So as a matter of fact, you won't be writing code all the time. You'll be writing code, um, I would say 50% plus of the time, mostly. So that was number two. Number three, um, what kind of people you'll be working with. Now, here is, I would say, perhaps the good news or the nice part of being a developer. I personally enjoy so much working with developers because most developers are really smart people, friendly and smart people, pleasant people to work with and to be around. And this is perhaps something that you will notice among people who are working in technical fields, not necessarily only in software, but also in construction, civil engineering, etc. So I personally enjoy working with developers, tech people. I like talking about technology. I enjoy also in general, I enjoy just the atmosphere of tech and IT. So this is perhaps one of the things that you will notice. You will come to some moments where you'll be speaking some terms that are very common to developers in the community um, or the people that you work with, but these terms perhaps are not well understood by non-tech people because they are not working or actively, let's say, acquainted with such terms or language. So, working with developers, that's the thing. You'll be most of the time working with developers, which is absolutely fun. However, however, um, I'm saying however in bold, you still have to work with sometimes with people who are not really who are more on the business side. Maybe they are still developers, but they are not as much, let's say, geeky or tech as much as you um, as much as a full-time software engineer. These people mostly like they are a hybrid between development and business, and usually um, they they come from economics background, finance or management background, or some most of them some of them come also from the IT background, but you want to be always working with people who are just only developers. You'll be working sometimes with non-developers as well, so it's still something to keep in mind. This is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something to be aware of because you will find the sometimes you will find that your language and communication with will have to be more simple, or let's say you will need to be a bit mindful when you are communicating because you need to know or understand that the person you are talking to may not understand all the technical terms that you are commonly using with your fellow developers. So this is something to keep in mind. And finally, um, so we spoke about three things, 3 points. The first point I was thinking of is how does the future look like for a developer as of 2023? You hear a lot about like things such as AI, which I spoke about in a previous video. However, the prospective future for developer is still relevant, still very strong. The demand on developers is still very high. Um, the it just maybe technology changes, or maybe you will find some new frameworks or um, new query languages and such that are becoming more in demand. However, um, software engineers, developers are still required, and the fun part is that um, it, the more the demand is getting higher and higher, we are seeing this amazing development in terms of new theories in programming, new like new algorithms, new some data structures that are popping up as a new concept. It's something maybe that I'm not sure if everyone enjoys that, but I'm personally a person who enjoys this because I see this like a chess game, and I enjoy learning because learning is a very crucial core part of any technical field. You will need always to be open-minded, to learn from others, and when you make a mistake, it's fine. It's okay to make a mistake. Now, one of the things that, and I know this is not related to the topic of this video, but I will speak about it anyway. One of the things that Elon Musk mentioned in one of his videos or conferences, he mentioned um, it is okay to fail, it's okay to make mistakes, because if you don't make mistakes, you cannot innovate, and innovation is very important for us as human species to progress, and innovation also drives money. Your customers, whoever your customer is or client, will people are always looking out for the next big thing, this new breakthrough, this new innovative solution that will improve their lives in one way or another. So, as a developer, you have to be very quite well aware that if you would like to succeed, you have to fail. It's okay to fail. Of course, you should try not to fail, but it's okay to fail, and this is the way how to learn, because if you don't fail, you can't learn. Um, and the dangerous thing about not failing is that if you don't fail, that means you are not trying. And the reason why I am maybe a bit judgmental about failing, not trying, is because you will never ever, like, no one does something that is 100% perfect. Everything requires practice. Everything there is always trial and error, and one of the benefits of being a developer is that if you make a mistake, let's say you are just practicing coding or you're at work, you made a small mistake, there is a very high chance that this mistake will be caught without causing any real harm or damage. On the contrary, it's much more harder to make mistakes um, in more critical things. If you are a doctor, mistakes can cause real harm. If you're an engineer, mistakes can cause buildings to collapse. But as an IT, in the IT industry, as a developer, um, you could still make some mistakes that, depending on which field or which industry you work in, that could have even worse consequences. But overall, this is a place where basically you are expected to fail, and this is why this is for people who are more familiar with development and tech already. This is why um, you hear a lot about unit testing, failing tests, etc. And the reason these are made is basically to make sure that you are failing before you are succeeding, because this is the only way how to make, let's say, better and more resilient product on the long run. So I hope this is everything I have in mind at the moment. I hope this would help to give you an idea on whether or not this is something you would like to work in, whether you will feel comfortable being a developer. As I said, still very high, like really promising perspective on being a developer for the next, I don't know, 10, 20 years. Um, it doesn't matter if it's you will become, in one day, you will become an AI developer, or you will become a robotics developer, or you will become a regular developer or a cloud developer. It really doesn't matter still. There is a high demand, you're still programming, you're still using programming languages and queries and databases. So the perspective for the profession of being a developer is still very much relevant, and the future for it actually still looks pretty bright. Um, and if you don't need to think of it only as a job in a company or a workplace or an office, a lot of developers are freelance workers. They are just people who are online given some contract jobs and getting paid just to make a piece of software, and that's it. So, and it doesn't matter where you live. You could be living in India, you could be living in China, you could be living in Latin America or Brazil. You could be in the Northern Pole. It doesn't matter. As long as you have a computer and an internet connection, you can work and make money as a developer. So I hope you found this video useful and helpful, and hope this will help you somehow in making decision for your future. So see you all, and hope to see you again all on the next video.